Hey everyone, this is Arado and we're here to talk about the upcoming Saga Soul banner featuring So-cho, Kreimhild, and Masdan. First off with So-cho, he is good in farming, not the best, not the worst. So one of the main draw why you would like to draw for So-cho is his skill number 3, where it does SSSS damage, and it also buffs the party with moral and guard up. Unfortunately, after using that, So-cho would be put in unconscious status. So it's really good to have, especially in boss or raid farming. You know, those that are needing high damage or meeting certain damage to get the maximum reward. And then on top of that, he's also good in 3-rounder AoE dual element farming. So I believe it's blunt and heat, because of the change with skill number 2 that he is able to use that for 3 consecutive turns. And then lastly, with his skill number 1, Thunder Whip Plus, it's a low damage single target that can be utilized for farming, single target farming rather. For hard content, he would just be a DPS source. He could be a last resort buffing, you know, on those last stretch of bursting, hoping that you would take down the boss. So he would be able to help in that aspect and buff the team with moral and guard up. And then unfortunately, he doesn't have any defense passive. Even though he has very good endurance and willpower, he might not be able to sustain as much damage, but he may be able to sustain some damage. Next up is Kreimhild. So Kreimhild, the reason to pull for her is if you would like to have a fast AoE farmer that can clear turn 1/round 1 or turn 3/round 3. So the main draw for her character is her skill number 3, in which when you use it, it's a fast pierce and thunder and S damage, and then she goes in countdown for 2 turns. So after the countdown is done, she would use a fast AoE again, but this time SS damage and thunder element. So that's why if you're facing a 3-rounder stage, and then you can utilize her to clear up round 1 and round 3 accordingly. And then having power charge 3, she can use her triumvirate plus being that can be awakened to 8 BP, so she can use that for 2 consecutive turns, so allowing her to do a 2-rounder single target pierce farming. And lastly, she also has the engage ability, which can greatly improve her turn 1 damage. As you know, engage was first introduced when Barthélemy was released, his first SS style, and we know that the damage was greatly increased with the engage ability, and then you can compare that without the engage ability. For hard content, she is a good source for thunder and pierce element. However, even if her S style has an int debuffing skill, if you try to inherit that, because of her low int, that she might be unreliable in doing int debuffing. And then she also doesn't have defense passive, so she might not be able to sustain that much of a damage. You know, just like So-cho, where they got good endurance and willpower, but because of not having defense passive, that they might die faster than others with, say, high protect tension. And lastly, and potentially the star of the banner, Masdan. So Masdan, he shines in hard content, but of course we gotta go through the farming aspect, where for farming he is an okay 2-rounder AoE or row farmer. So for AoE, he needs the submachine gun inherit from his first SS style, and then he can also do a one-shot strong AoE or a single target skill. So the single target skill is also an inherit from his SS style, the Great Adventure. So hard content is where Mass Dad would shine the most. So he is a cover tank with really good defense passive. He also self buffs himself with all stats and heals himself every turn with extra small effect. And then he, so other than buffing himself with all stats, that's really appropriate for long battles. He can also do a party heal for free when he goes in overdrive. So in overdrive, when he does an attack, he would do a party heal that does around 800-ish HP if you don't have Paean of Peace, and then if you have Paean of Peace, it can be pushed to like 900 to 1000 HP. And then it's very helpful to have Great Adventure as an inherit for hard content, because Great Adventure would allow Mass Dad to have taunt and also gain extra defense boost to himself. So he would do 3 defense boosts, which would stack with one another, and then he would taunt some of the attacks. While you want Dad to cover other party members so that he would have extra defense mitigation, but having the taunt, especially on, I will be referencing Egg in this because that's where you would see how Dad would shine the most, where on the latter part of the Egg battle, Egg would do some status ailments, and because Dad self buffs himself every turn, that by that point he would be able to resist those ailments that that could have been inflicted in the party, where that may cause the party to die or you lose the battle. So having taunt is still helpful, even though you would like Dad to be covering most of the time. That is the banner. It's personally, I feel that it's a high value banner, mainly because So-cho and Kreimhild would help your unit roster in farming. So as mentioned, So-cho has good utility with skill number 3, with the moral up and guard up buff to the party, especially for farming purposes. Not so much on the hard content, but you can always use that if you want to. For Kreimhild, you gotta remember that her fast AoE only applies for turn 1 and turn 3. She won't be able to do any action on turn 2 if you use her skill number 3. And then she is a reliable single target 2-rounder Pierce farmer. And then Mass Dad is an irreplaceable tank. Even to this day in JP, a lot of players still see Mass Dad as the go-to tank for any hard content. Mainly because he can self-buff, he has self-heal, he can give heal to everybody, and he can have defense boost with he can have defense boost with inherit from his former SS style. So yeah, personally my plan is to do single pulls. I would just be aiming for Mass Dad. Unfortunately, I'm still on a budget with jewels. If I get So-cho or Kreimhild along the way, that would be great. If I get Mass Dad early, I might try to go for Kreimhild. Not so much for So-cho, but completing the banner would be good too. It's a high value banner in my opinion, but it depends on what you are looking for a banner. If you're looking for a support, a buffer, a healer, or a debuffer, then you won't see it in this banner. It would be a solid skip for you if that's what you're lacking in your box. Again, always look at your box, see what you're missing, and pull for what you need and pull for favorites. But don't go for broke for something that you pull because you love the character, and in the end that you won't be able to use the character. At least try to plan for your favorites that you would be able to use them. Definitely, if you would like to invest in this banner, aim for Mass Dad. As I said, he's still an irreplaceable tank to this day. But yeah, That's my thoughts in the banner. Hopefully that helps you decide in whether to pull on this banner or not. Remember that Halloween is just right around the corner, so there's Narwhal's daughter in there, and so does Tatiana and Silver, and then Metal Death is also solid in that banner as well. So if you would like to wait for the next banner, I would suggest to do that and then go back to this banner once you're decided and know what the next banner is coming up. So yeah, I'll do the review for the reprint banner on a separate video. But definitely, if you're a new player, go for Liam in that banner, because Liam and Mastad would be two of the characters that you would be mostly using for hard content. Alright, thank you so much everyone, and see you in the next video or stream.